Hey everyone, Shavua Tov, wishing you a great new week. And this week I wanted to share with you a couple of insights that I had on the epic dream of Jacob. So whenever we think of that dream, just so many thoughts come to mind. That incredible ladder and what it represents. And so it represents, the truth is, a lot of things. And the commentators really go into incredible detail on that dream. But specifically, there's an unbelievably profound, what is called midrash, which is the inner, deeper dimension of what the storyline teaches us. And that is that it teaches us about the exile, that it represented the exile of Jacob. And it represented specifically the 4 exiles that his children were going to go through. And the first exile, so as Jacob dreams and he looks at the ladder and he sees the angels going up 70 rungs. And those first 70 rungs represent the first exile, which is called the exile of Babylon. And the second exile, and then the angel comes back down. So Jacob sees that there's an end to that exile. And then the second angel ascends upwards for, I believe it's 200 and something years, the exile of Persia and Media, and the angel comes back down. Third exile is the exile of Greece. Once again, the angel ascends upwards, comes back down. And here comes the last exile, and the last angel, as it ascends upwards, it keeps on going up and up and up and up, and it does not come down, representing the last exile which we are currently in, which is called the exile of Rome. The exile of Rome is the exile of the most intense exile, and it represents the exile of essentially the Western world, and which was really started by what we call Rome, which innovated so many new things, but really brought the world to a newfound, we could call, expansion of many ways, but also a hiddenness of so much. And the Romans, we know, represented paganism, and they represented so much, slavery, and they represented so much negativity as well. So the last exile representing Rome is the exile of Esau, of Edom. And that exile kept on going up and up and up and up. And to that, Jacob saw no end to. And so he got scared. So it says over there in the verses, Vayira Yaakov. Yaakov became very fearful. Vayetzer lo. He became just incredibly, he said, is there an end to this? And then finally God calls to him from the top of the ladder and says, I am God, and the land which you are sleeping upon is yours, and yours for your children. So the Midrash tells us that the entire land of Israel was folded up underneath the head of Jacob as he was laying there, and that ladder and the angels were coming up and down. And with that, we have the recipe for redemption. So we've got the exile, we've got the 4 exiles over there, which I'll just say another word on, that the 4 exiles are already forecasted, not just by Jacob in this dream, but really in the beginning of the Torah, right at the beginning of the first verse in Genesis says, Bereshit bara Elokim, God created the heavens and the earth. And then it says, V'chosh v'tov vavo, the land was tohu. Tohu represents Babylon, vavohu, chaotic, vo is Persia, Media. Choshech is darkness. Darkness represents Greece. V'choshech pnei tehom, tehom is the abyss, represents Rome. And so we've got the 4 exiles right there at the beginning of creation, and those were the exiles that Jacob was forecasting. So where's redemption over here? So God essentially tells him, where's redemption? Redemption is right underneath your own backyard. And I decided to take this little video in my backyard, literally. And many times we think that redemption is somewhere else. And it reminds me of a story of Zundel, who's the woodchopper from Warsaw, has a dream one day that in Prague there's great riches, And so he decides to go to Prague to go and dig underneath the bridge which he was going to find the riches in. And as he reaches that bridge, so then he sees the guard, and the guard tells him, "Hey, what are you doing over there?" And he tells him, "Well, I had a dream that underneath this very bridge is a great treasure." So the guard tells him, "You foolish guy, I had a dream that underneath a woodchopper's house, right underneath his own stove, is a great treasure. But you don't find me going over there and, digging there." So Zundel got the point, and he went all the way back to Warsaw. He dug underneath his own backyard, right, or his own stove, and he found a great treasure. So the same applies over here in this story of Jacob and the ladder. Right underneath Jacob's head is really the redemption, and the entire land of Israel is folded up underneath his head. Hey Perry, welcome. And right underneath his own head is where the redemption is at, which tells us really about the conquest of the physical land of Israel. Is not just a physical conquest of sorts, which we know has been contested for forever by all religions, and everyone has been here in the land of Israel. But basically, God is telling Jacob that the conquest of the land of Israel and the metaphysical land of Israel is what we're really talking about. Is not just a conquest of a land, but it's a conquest of oneself, of one's own psyche. When we talk about conquest, there's an inner conquest. There's a conquest of our own selves. There's a conquest of our minds. And the land of Israel is called the land of the seven nations, which represent the seven nations, the seven negative habits which we all have as humans. And Adam, man, comes from the word Adama, from land. And we all have those negative habits within us. And once we conquer them, then we have the recipe for redemption. Redemption is really found from within. It's not found from outside. So I was really thinking about this concept, the ladder, Jacob's ladder, and what it represents, and the profound concept that it has, that it's not just forecasting the exile, but it's really giving us the recipe for redemption. Redemption is right underneath our own backyards. And once we dig underneath our own selves a little bit more and bring out those seven positive habits, so then we take the land of what is called the land of Canaan into the land of Israel. And each and every one of us has those two aspects. We have the land of Canaan. We've got the exile part of ourselves, the natural, if we don't do anything, by default, we're going to just stay the same. And then we've got the land of Israel, which represents that conquest. And we find that inner redemption, which is always there, and it's always just underneath our own head. So although the exile is really long, and when it's going to come to when things are going to turn out in the way that we really are, the way that the world is really intended to be like, with the coming of Mashiach, world peace, and people getting together, communicating in the right way. In the meantime, or more specifically, the way to get there is right underneath our own head. Right underneath there, we've got the redemption, and by learning those tools, by understanding what to do, how to bring out the positive traits within us, so then we access redemption, personal redemption, collective redemption. So the tools, my friends, are within reach. And I'm just sending out also a quick reminder over here about the 10 Sphera course, which actually teaches those tools. The 7 emotional Sphera and the 3 intellectual ones are really a full set teaching, really, of really understanding what the positive Sphirot are all about and what the negative Sphirot are all about, and how to conquer them, because we all have to conquer our own selves. The greatest power we have, my friends, are right in between our own ears, in the way we think, in the way we transform, the way we the way we act, and the way we act is the way we condition ourselves to ultimately be. So learning those tools are within reach, and making the time to learn them is also a conscious choice, because it's not going to happen on its own unless we make the decision to really want to dig underneath our own backyard, right? So anyways, wishing you guys many, many blessings, and may we all find our own inner redemption, our own inner treasures that are found right underneath our own backyard, and with that, finding the treasures that are found without. And when enough of us do that, then we find the ultimate redemption. May it be speedily in our days, sending you much love and many blessings from the beautiful land of Israel.